Okay, well, we're going to do something a little bit different now. 5.6 is on measures of central tendency. Very important topic. I'm sorry if it sounds a little bit different here. And also, I'm sorry because I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to switch over to a video I've made for a different course. It's actually for Foundations 11. So look at you. You're about to do some grade 11 math. So here comes the video. Hopefully you won't even notice the transition. And here we go.
Okay, so what we're doing today is all about statistics. And statistics is the collection and summarizing of data. Okay, this first section that we're doing is all about measures of central tendency. Wow. Measures of central tendency are what they do is they help express what is typical of a data set. So measures of central tendencies are numbers, and these numbers help to express what is typical of a data set. So for example, if we were looking at the ages of King George students, and we came up with a number that's a measure of central tendency, you wouldn't expect a number like 53, because that is not an age that's typical for students at King George Secondary. A number like 16 or 17 or 14 or 15, somewhere around there, is numbers that are more typical. So there's a few ways we can measure central tendency. One is by looking for the mode. And what the mode is just the most frequent. It's the most frequent occurrence of data. So, for example, in this first set here, the data set consists of 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. Which one of those things happens the most often? Which number there happens the most often? Pretty easy, eh? The mode is 2, because that's the one that happens most often. This is a bad example. I'm not saying it's 2 because there's 2 of them. I'm saying it's 2 because that's the number that happens the most. Let's pretend there was more numbers and we also had 3 more 9s here. What would be the mode? The mode would be 9 because there's 4 of them, and that's the most of any one of the values here. Okay? Let's look at the next one. The next one says 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 10. What's the mode? Okay, if you look carefully, you're probably a little confused because we have those, just like we did up here, but we also have those. So what does that mean? Is the mode both of them? One of them? The average of them? How do we get the mode? Well, what you do is you write them both down. So the mode is equal to 2 and 10. 2 comma 10 I'll put. And the last one here, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. What's the mode? There's none of them that seem to be more than the others. So does that mean they're all the mode or none of them? Well, it says the most frequent. Is there one of them that's most frequent? No, they're all the same. So the mode is none of them. You can't put this. If you put mode equals 0, it means that 0 is the most common number. No, that's not true. You can put this, or you could put none. Either one of those will work. Okay, so just to summarize, for your mode, there can be one mode like we had in the first one. There can be multiple modes, 2 and 10. You could have 3 modes, you could have 4, whatever, or you could have no mode. And the way, this is terrible, one of my worst memory devices of all, but the way I help people remember mode is think like you had a cold, really stuffed up nose, and you would say and you were saying the word most. It would sound like most, mode. It's so bad, I'm embarrassed. But that's the way that if I forget, it actually helps remember. I think that mode kind of sounds a little bit like most. I'm blushing right now. Okay, the second one. Mean is the second one we're interested, and the mean is what we usually call average. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, why don't we just use the word average and not mean? Well, here's the thing. Your elementary school teachers who told you what an average was, they were kind of a little wrong, because all of these things are averages. Another way of saying measures of central tendency are averages of central tendency. So the mode is actually a type of average. The mean is a type of average. And on the third page, we're going to eventually get down to the median. That's a type of average. Those are all averages. But you know the way that you were taught mean before average, by adding them things all up and dividing? That's what we mean by the word mean. So that's my memory device for mean. Mean is what we mean when we say average. Okay? They're not good, but those are my memory devices. Here's the formula. You know what to do. You add them all up and divide by how many there are. So you're probably looking at this formula and you're a little bit confused. First of all, this symbol here, this is mu. It's a Greek letter, mu. And what it says is x1, which is like the first term or first piece of data, plus the second piece of data, plus the third piece of data, plus however many there are, up into and including the last one, n is how many there are, and then you divide by n, how many there are, right? It's just the same old average formula you've always used. If you were trying to get the average of this data, what would you do? You'd add them all up. You know this. You know this. Don't be confused. We're just doing the same thing we've always done. We're adding them all up and we're dividing by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of them. So I add those all up. 3, 5, 8, 12, 18, 26, 35. And I divide it by 8. And if you do that, you'll get 4.375. That is the mean. So mode, most, mean is what I mean when I say average. Okay, here's the one difficult part of the work in this chapter. You have to be able to answer questions like this. The mean of 12 numbers is 82. If the mean of the first 10 numbers is 60, then what's the mean of the last two numbers? All right, let's look at this first bit. The mean of 12 numbers is 82. Okay, we don't know what the numbers are, but what can we figure out if the mean of all those numbers is 82? We can tell what they add up to, right? What do those 12 numbers have to add up to? They have to add up to 12 times 82. 12 times 82 is 984. Now, do you understand why that makes sense? Because if we added up all those first 12 numbers and got the total of 984, and then we divided by how many numbers there are, 12, if you put in that calculator, you put that in your calculator, you're going to get the number 82. That would be your average. Well, we're just kind of going the opposite direction. We're saying if you know 12 numbers have a mean of 82, then when you multiply them together, you must get the total that they add up to. A little bit different. Uh-oh, you can probably hear the washer now. It's clunking away. All right, the second part says, if the mean of the first 10 numbers is 60, then what's the mean of the last two numbers? Okay, let's deal with this highlighted part. The mean of the first 10 numbers is 60, so we can do the same sort of thing. The first 10 numbers have a mean of 60, so what they add up to is 600. So all 12 add up to 984. The first 10 add up to 600. What can you tell by that? You can tell what the last two add up to. The last two add up to, how do we figure it out? All 12 add up to this, the first 10 add up to that, then the last two must add up to 984 minus 600, which equals 384. That's what the last two add up to. But we want the mean of the last two. Well, if you know what the last two add up to, and there's two numbers, what do you do to get the mean? You divide by how many numbers there are. You divide by 2. And if you do that, you get 192. Okay, that's way harder than any other questions you're doing in today's work. So as I said, if you can get those sort of questions, you're home free. But I get it if you're a little bit confused by that. Watch it again if you didn't get it. All right, median is the last one. Median is the center, or the middle. So my memory device for that one, where's a median on the road? You know what a median is? It's like the island in the middle of the road. So a median is in the middle, or the center. Okay, there's two situations for the median. There's when there's an odd number of values, and when there's an even number of values. Here's an odd, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 values here. It's an odd number. How are we going to find the center one? Well, the center is just the middle. You're going to take the middle value. So one way I kind of do it is, well, here's the first one and the last one, and then the next one and you see what I'm doing? I'm just pairing them up, and I'm left with 7 there. That makes sense what I did? This one goes with that one, this one goes with that one, this one goes with that one, and I'm left with 7. So my median is 7. If you don't want to do it that way, and especially if you have like tons of data points and you don't want to work through it like that, there's also a little formula you can use, and the formula for the middle value is n plus 1 divided by 2. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we had 7 values, so 7 plus 1 divided by 2 equals 8 over 2 equals, the fourth term is my middle one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there you go, it's 7. Okay? Now the second case is when you have an even number of values. So if I tried to get the middle one here, well, there is no middle because there's an even number, there's 8 of them. So what do? What you do is you find the mean. Remember the mean, what I mean when I say mean is average, so I kind of find the average or the mean of the two middle values. So I got to find the two middle values this time. So should I just do this, cross out, cross out? Here they are, there's my middle ones right here. No, what's wrong with considering those as my middle? They're not in order. I have to write them in order. So I think I wrote back up here somewhere, you must arrange the data in order. So that's the first thing we should do here. So the smallest term is 1, then we have a 2, and another 2. Then we have a 3, a 7, a 9, 11, and 28. And we want to find the 2 middle ones. So if you want, you could do this again. Well, there's the first and the last, the second and the second to last, the third and the third to last. I'm left with 3 and 7. So if I want to get the median, I take those 2 middle ones and add them together and divide by how many there are, which is 2, right? I found the mean of those 2 numbers. And that gives me 10 over 2, which equals 5. The median is 5. Alright, that is it. Most of that you're going to find no problem. It's just these questions up here that I think you might find a little bit difficult. Alright, enjoy your measures of central